trees bear strange fruit. Blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze.
Welcome you guys to another edition of I.O.W. I'm your girl, Black Barbara Walters.
What's up, Wild Card Mar?
What's good? It's that nigga.
The fact that he did not even do the anticipation and I was like trying to like drum up to it.
Like build it up.
I can't do what you expect. I gotta be
annoying.
I'm still that nigga.
On today's episode, it's going to be more so a little bit of a serious one today. We're going to talk about what makes a person racist. Do you think they can come out of being racist? What behaviors do you think they were taught to become racist? For our culture, this is a very serious topic. We'll also hit on a little bit of some trending topics with racism, some things that happen in Georgia as well as just in general.
New York.
In New York too, yeah. I forgot about that one. So I think I want to kick this one off because I feel like when it comes to racism, I think that people don't really understand why and I'm going to go ahead and take it there, why for the black culture it's such a big deal. But in the same breath, us as a black culture cannot have the double standard of trying to ridicule every white person that is racist for being it, and then we become racist ourselves. I remember growing up, my dad was born in the 50s, so he was around during a lot of the segregation. I remember him telling us stories of having to go in the back of, a restaurant to get their food, and white only, black only water fountains during his childhood. So, I turned 30 this month, so I didn't have to deal with that. My dad dealt with it. But growing up as a black female, there were certain, what's the word I want to use? Don't really know. There are certain, because I had the perfect word. Yes, you are. You are totally rubbing it off on me. There are certain things that, as a black woman that people think is supposed to be a certain way that we're
behind.
Wasn't going there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
But that would be one. But no, that they think that, we're supposed to be the ultimate customer service, kind of made house nigga type stuff. Mm-hmm. I will never forget, I moved to Shelby, North Carolina, and this older white gentleman I was working at Walgreens, he came into Walgreens, and he literally was like, "Hey girl, come here." Now, this is before I was really saved. So my response was not saved. But he expected for me to walk around the store with him and gather all his things as if I was his maid. And his wife was walking right with him. So it's still, in my opinion, very prevalent today. Mm-hmm. It's still, slap me, give me in the comments all you want to. But I feel like it's still something that affects us in the workplace as far as the pay that we get as black people. I feel that it still affects us in the way of how much success, no matter the hard work and determination that we put into things. Yeah. What do y'all think?
So I think when you talk about race, it's very nuanced. I think when you talk about, there's a lot of layers to it, and a lot of times when you talk to people, especially people that are not, in our community, and they would say, well, they'll bring up things, well, you guys do some things to yourself, and I think that you can't. I think you're talking about two separate issues.
That's true, but that's such a scapegoat.
But I'm saying, I think what you have to do is you have to separate the issue. You can't talk about both of them together because they're two different things that's happening at the same time. I think when it comes to especially African Americans in this country, there's a lot of things trauma that we suffered that's been passed down from generation to generation. Right. There's a lot of policies that have been passed that kind of put us behind. And so at the same time, there are those things that affected us psychologically, which causes some of us to act the way we do, some of us to think the way we do, and some of us to, do other things because of those things that happen. So I think you have to kind of, look at the thing as a whole. And for me, when we first talked about doing this episode, I started going in my mind about all the different things I saw. I remember I was in grad school, I wrote a paper about racism. And one of the things that that stuck out in my head was that, for me, I always had all kinds of friends. And I still do. And, but because of history, because of experience, when it came to dealing with white people, there's always been a pause that, I don't know. And it's always been there because of been burned in the past, or I remember the history, or I remember things that happened to me that I felt, was unjust. And it's a delicate subject.
I need you to clear your throat a little quieter next time.
I'm gonna try. I want to make sure I give a point out.
Have mercy, baby.
Have mercy.
Oh my.
And so you start feeling relaxed in the things that's going around you. And then you see Trayvon Martin, and then you see Michael Brown, Orlando Castillo, and then nothing that really happened for a while. And then you see what happened in Georgia. And I tell you, when I saw it, at first I didn't know that it happened 2 months ago. I thought it had just happened. And I tell you, I was so upset yesterday. I was so angry because I'm like, they killed this man like he was a dog, like he was an animal, But I won't say dog. I know people like dogs, but. Kill him like he just wasn't.
Can't say that because people go crazy.
But that's the perfect analogy because, but not to cut you off, that's the perfect analogy because people have such a love for animals as they are humans, and this is a human life we're talking about. Someone who was loved just as much by family, by friends, by coworkers. So that's the perfect analogy. If you can get upset about a dog being killed, why can't you get upset about this black man that was killed?
And I think that too, and it's not all. But sometimes you find that when you deal with people that are not black, the first thing they say, "Well, what did he do?" It's always the black person is always assumed guilty, and the white person who shot him is always assumed innocent. And it's like, wow,
you gotta fight to prove your innocence.
You gotta fight to prove your innocence. Right. It's like, oh well, they brought up his past. Okay, a lot of stuff he did in the past. First of all, it had nothing to do with what he did right now.
At that moment,
he was deserved to be executed.
Right.
Second of all, it was when he was young. And you can bring up a lot of stuff in my past when I was young. And some of the stuff he said he did, some of the stuff I did when I was young.
Okay, not to cut you off. Break down for those that are living underneath a rock. What happened with this guy? So they understand what we're talking about.
I think his name was Ahmaud Arbery. It might be Ahmaud or Ahmaud. I'm not sure.
I think it's Ahmaud because I was having problems trying to pronounce it.
I want to make sure I pronounce his name correctly. But I think it was Ahmaud Arbery. And he was in Brunswick, Georgia. And they said he was jogging two white males His name was McMichael, Travis McMichael. I can't think the father's name is Greg. I'm not 100% sure the father's name. I know the last name is McMichael. They saw him running, and they said he looked like a suspect that had been breaking into houses in that neighborhood. They caught up with him, and they shot him. When you see the footage, I see the black guy, Arbery, try to pull a gun from him. But my thing, if you come up, you get a gun, I'm gonna try to wrestle from you.
I'm about to say it's called self-defense.
I'm trying to defend myself.
Get home to my
family.
What I'm
saying? So I'm gonna do what I can to try to survive. And he shot him. He shot him so many times because when you first see the footage, it's off camera, but you can hear the gunshots. And then he come back into the footage or into the camera, he shoots him again. He shot him about 3, maybe 4 times. And then you see Arbery walk off, and then he falls. It falls over dead. Now, some of the nuances to the story. So a neighbor said they allegedly saw him. One report said looking in the window in a house, a new construction house. Another report said they saw him in the house. Now here's the issue. And according to Georgia, I know in Georgia law, because I listen to an attorney in Georgia, if the dwelling has no windows, no doors, you can't be charged for breaking and entering. So he didn't commit a crime even if he was in the house. Second of all, if I know a lot of times I've seen new construction, I look in the window, see, hey, what they putting in new? And I keep on going about my business. So he could have been doing that. And another point to that too is that, they were saying that Georgia has a rule or law that says you can commit a citizen arrest if you see the citizen.
That wasn't a citizen arrest.
Commit a crime. Well, hold on, let me explain. If you didn't if you commit a crime, you can do a citizen arrest. So here's my problem with that. First of all, they didn't witness him commit a crime. Yeah. So that's already null and void. Second of all, they didn't approach him in a way to detain him. They approached him in a way to assassinate him. Yeah. They came out guns blazing and everything. Right. It's like, so what is the cost of human life, let alone a black life? Does a black life mean nothing? And I think about James Baldwin when he said that, I'm gonna have to paraphrase it, but he said something like, to be black and conscious in America is to always be enraged. And it's like, he said this years ago, and you still have that mindset because you constantly seeing things like this happen. And like I said, I was angry. I was very angry. And, you try not to take that anger out on people, other innocent people, but sometimes you just can't help it. Because you get sick and tired of seeing the same thing over and over again. And then people come up to you, well, what did he do? What you mean what he did? What about his life? I don't probably want to discuss. But this is
he gone.
You know what I'm saying? His life is gone.
That shit don't matter.
You can't even bring it back.
He on some shit that ain't no reverse.
Right. You can't bring him back. You can't say, ooh, my mistake, let me get a do-over.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a do-over.
Right.
But this is my thing. Even in the eye of the law, when you get, for instance, you get pulled over by a cop. Right. The cop has to ask you certain questions to make sure that what they think is actually what it is. They give you a chance to be honest. So why didn't these men, if you're performing a citizen's arrest, right? Why didn't you ask him a question? Why didn't you stop, have a conversation with him, and then ask him a question of, okay, so what were you doing? Now I can see if it was their property. If it was their property and they saw him looking, and then it still should have been some questions of, what are you doing looking on the windows of my property? Right. Give him a chance to explain himself. There was no explanation that was given. Y'all just came shooting. So then you wonder, okay, why do you feel the need, or why do you think that it's okay why do people think that it's okay that they can get away with it? Because in the last report that I read, these men still haven't even been charged with anything. Right. They haven't been detained. They're walking around. Well, not walking around because we're still in quarantine. They are quarantine free to do whatever they want to do.
They're in Georgia, so.
But either way, the fact of the matter is, if it was, and y'all know I always take it there. If it was Lamar that went out, I'm gonna use you for example. We know you wouldn't. Well, you might because you wild card. You wild card, so you might. But if it was Lamar that saw, let's say just a random. I'm gonna say Brian. Okay. Brian's the guy that we work with. White guy that we work with. If Lamar went out and saw Brian taking a jog and saw him looking at some property and decided to go up and shoot him, Lamar would be underneath the jail already.
Right.
So where's the standard?
Hell,
of the equality
I've been lucky to make it to a court.
That
what you
hard.
That's
the part that I'm getting on. Mm-hmm. So
I'm just desensitized to all this shit, and it's sad to say that.
But that's what our culture has come to, where it's either we are extremely enraged by everything that has happened, or we have desensitized to where we're just like, it is the trend. It is what it is. But we're supposed to be in this great country of America that is for equality, that is for equal rights, that is for everything that, everybody has their same own freedom to do whatever. And it's not the case.
I'm just gonna say it.
Well, go ahead and say it.
And man, we've had this conversation before. Mm-hmm. As long as we in America, we ain't gonna get that peace of mind of not looking over our shoulders.
We still waiting on 40 acres in a mule.
Look, let me tell you something, man.
It just ain't gonna happen.
I'm the type of person, you know what I'm saying? I try to get along with most people as best as I can.
He said most people.
A few people I just can't get along with.
Can't fuck with them.
You know what I'm saying? That's how it is.
I can't.
You know what I'm saying? But in my mind, there's this battle, that I want to pick up arms and go to war.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's just the honest to God truth. You know what I'm saying? Because you just get tired of this. And you get sick of seeing the same thing over and over again. I mean, you think about it I remember my great-great-grandfather telling me stories about injustice to him, his family. I've told this story before. I remember, I think it was my great-grandmother. Her twin siblings was killed by the master's wife because the master fathered them. She poisoned them. You know what I'm saying? You hear stories about your fathers and your uncles having friends that's hung from trees. And then so you have that generation telling stories. Your father's telling you stories. Then you become an adult, and now you telling the same story. Our narrative is never changing. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's never changing. And then you give us a black president, and we supposed to be like, oh, good, it's changing. That don't mean nothing.
I had just finished teaching Introduction to American Politics to a group of eager undergraduates. This was my first year teaching, but I had pulled off a slamming lecture, and I was feeling good about myself. As I left the classroom, I looked down at my phone and saw that I had 5 missed calls from my brother, Kenny. At the time, Kenny was a student at Temple University and living in North Philly. For those who don't know North Philly, it's an area that is predominantly black and low income with a very visible police presence. When I return his phone call, Kenny is loud and swearing into the phone. I can tell that something very bad happened, but I'm not sure what. When I am finally able to get him to calm down, he tells me how he was sitting on the stoop of his building talking to a friend when 4 police officers ran up on him and threw him and 3 others on the ground, handcuffed them, and then pushed them up against a wall, all the while asking them, what drugs do you have? What drugs do you have? Kenny had no drugs. He told the officers this many times, but each statement of no drugs only seemed to provoke more force and make the officers more upset.
Now the thing, until it changes on a greater scale.
But that's the thing. How do we make it change?
We can't.
First of all,
I'm sorry, we can't as black folks. We can't.
I'm about to say I disagree with that.
No, but hold on.
I disagree with that.
Go ahead. I'm saying is that it's because we don't have the seats at the table to changing.
I still
the media still ran by the rich,
right?
And they don't look like us.
Okay.
The justice system still ran by the rich. They don't look like us. Our whole economic system is ran by people that don't look like us, and they are rich and wealthy.
Well, see,
they will never have. They will never have our best interests.
But that's the problem. The problem is that we should stop looking for them
and do it ourselves.
I mean, and we don't need to sit at their table. We need our own table.
I know, and make our own table.
Right.
And trust me, I'm with that. But what I'm saying is, we've been saying that same story for so long. So when do we put that? Let's make our own table into action.
But that's when us as and I'm gonna use the term little black people, like we have our platform. We're using our platform for the dialogue. You have people like Oprah Winfrey. You have people like the girls of the real. I know why you saying that. But hear me out. You got people like those people. You got people like the radio host. You got here in Raleigh. You got what's his name? I can't even think of his name. I don't listen to the radio like that. But you have all these different influential black people who have created a platform. So, and my cousin just said it on our live. He said it perfect. He said, "Speak up and speak out. Silence is not an option."
Right.
Soapboxes, talk show hosts. You've got people like Tyler Perry who is taking over Hollywood right now. He is, but still, that's a platform. So
using no platform, that's what you can.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. We can't. We as black.
You just spoke off. I'm like, yeah, we got the platform.
But that's what I'm saying.
Them motherfuckers don't need it. They should give us niggas like us.
But that's what I'm saying.
We'll take the platform and run with it because y'all motherfuckers.
But that's what I'm talking about. You get the platform. Don't fall into what society has made us. We can't keep making, and this is where I would have to issue that challenge to all those people on those platforms. We can't make it be the same natural what the society is looking for black people. If we keep telling stories of the drug dealer, of the baby mama who's ratchet, if we keep telling these same stories, it's what keeps giving us and putting us inside this box of what the white person thinks of us as. Right. But then
that's worse than them doing it to us.
It is, but that's what I'm saying. You're not using your platform.
That's why I said come to motherfuckers and make it all.
But at the same time, okay, they're not doing it. So let's take it to the level where you were just talking about using it has to be other people in those seats. There are, and I watch, and he was just on my live. Shout out to Bishop Cortez Winston, and my cousin does it too, Pastor Edwards. You have to go to these council meetings. You have to go to these town hall meetings and allow your voice to be heard.
It's not just that; you got to change the seats.
Right, but if you don't go to some of these meetings and hear these people and see what these people are saying, we have in the last, and my numbers may be off, in the last 5 years, we have elected more black people into offices of police chief and different council seats, and they're not taking a stand, but we're also not pushing them to take a stand. We have a lot of rights within the amendments to allow us to peacefully protest, and do all these other things that's going to force them. It's just like my daddy always says, some people don't move until the pressure's applied.
But see, here's always been my issue. And, I got to bring up, because I feel this way, but I heard Corey Holcomb say it too, and it kind of woke something else up in me.
Right.
It's like, but the system's not even designed for us.
Never was.
So if the system's not designed for us and you put these people in these positions, they're just going to flow as much as they can within that system.
We be at each other's neck over nothing. Half the shit that be wrong, you could call a motherfucker up and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
It's like, what is your life worth? Your life ain't worth shit in America. And motherfuckers telling you, they got these dumbass celebrities telling you to go vote, telling you to go do all this sucker shit that ain't gonna change shit. I ain't gonna lie, man. The only way you are going to get what you need out of America is to bust back. Yeah, you going to jail. Yeah, all this. But I'm talking about Y'all know what I'm talking about. Motherfucker, you better be ready when these motherfuckers, when cops, I saw a cop punching a little kid that was on the ground.
Right. Girls. And a girl. Too. Yeah.
Them motherfucking cops need they melon bust wide the fuck open. That's what they need. They need to know, you know, if you jump on the children in this motherfucking community, they will shoot you.
Right.
I'm not talking about one shot. I'm talking about a whole bunch of people doing what they supposed to do to let them know you can't do that.
So you're saying there's a ceiling to it?
So I think it's more better for us to get. I'm not quite saying I haven't got to the Marcus Garvey kind of point yet, but I understand it, and I'm getting more and more understanding of why he felt that way. And you know what I'm saying, because it's like we had a black president. What did he do for us? No, how many policies did he push that helped us as black people? We had a lot of blacks. I have black senators that represent us in certain states. What did they do for us as black people? You know, because whether or not they wanted to, we can say, well, they couldn't because their hands was tied because they part of that system.
Honestly, I think that whole Obama situation was another Tiger Woods situation. When Tiger Woods, I'm saying like, because I didn't really get into golf until Tiger Woods.
Right.
A lot of minorities didn't get into golf until Tiger Woods. So I can honestly say that because of Obama, I was probably more aware of my politics and probably paid more attention to the politics, which is why I probably still don't fuck with the politics.
Okay, I'm gonna take that and run.
Because I just feel that I think Obama's situation was more of trying to get minority people more involved in the politics. I don't think it was more to change the politics.
Okay. Right. So taking that and running with it, if Obama was there to get us more involved and to open our eyes into the politics, why are we still sitting on our behinds not doing anything? If he was in there for 8 years,
I mean, you could probably think of people like me because like once I like, a brother that looks somewhat like me is in politics. Let me fuck with the politics,
right?
And then you see the game of politics, you're like, man, fuck that politics shit. Because I mean, I don't like that fraudulent, the backstabbing and the snaking and the sneaking and
that's. But that's life. Like that's life.
But it shouldn't have to be. But my thing is, that's how America was built upon. It was built on that backhanded, goddamn, take as you please, let me get, capitalistic type of lifestyle.
Right.
But look how much though, not to cut you off, look how much that we've changed. If we want to be technical, we want to go back to let's go back to slavery days. So let's go back to Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. That was something that was the man-made of slavery, and we figured out how to get out of it and make a change. That made a change that led to more freedom. Then you go to Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King and his whole I Have a Dream and his protest. You have Malcolm X. Everything they started, they then started to change because they started a movement of it. Why are we now in the 21st century, 22nd century, whatever, 21st century, we're still sitting on our behinds, not making a movement? We can sit here and, like I said, we're using our platform as a podcast and as a vlog and all the different sites that we're on. By the way, make sure y'all go subscribe
and like our page.
Make sure you do all of that. But why are we still sitting here not doing anything? We're not sitting here, letting our voices be heard. We all rushed to the polls when it was time to elect Obama in office. But yet when it was time for Donald Trump, behind to get in office, everybody knew what Donald Trump stood for before this man got in office.
True.
We already knew he was ignorant. We already knew he was a racist. We already knew all of these things before he got in office. But we as a black community sat on our narrow behinds and did absolutely nothing.
I mean, I'll speak my truth. After Obama, I didn't vote. I just felt like I didn't have a representation for me. It was either go with Hillary or go with Trump. And I think both of them is
right, both of them was crap. But do you think that it would have been a better selection that we would have had more so because the black community loved Bill Clinton?
Because we never thought we was gonna have a black president.
Right. But still, on that same note, if we love Bill, thank you, Misha, if we love Bill Clinton so much, and now his wife is running, do you not think that he would have had some kind of influence over her, over some of the decisions that she would have made in the house?
If you have the same skin, you can play together, but if you don't have the same skin, you can't play together.
So why can't you play together if you have different color skin?
Because your mom might not want you to play with that friend.
It's okay to tell people that they can't be your friend because of the color of their skin? Why is that okay?
Because your mom will not want them to be the same, be a different color friends.
Do you think it'd be easy for a kid to convince his parents that it would be okay to have other types of people over? Why not?
Probably because you might get in trouble.
Why would a parent want you to get in trouble if you wanted someone to come over to your house who is a different skin color?
Probably because they don't allow.
Why not? Why would some parents not allow other skin-colored kids to come over?
Probably because they might not like that skin color.
Well, see, here's the thing. A lot of people didn't understand what Bill Clinton policies was when they did that mass incarceration.
Because we have finally gotten more police officers on the street. That was one of the goals that the president had when he pushed the crime bill that was passed in 1994. They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy.
If you ask the question, why are some drugs legal and others illegal? Why are cigarettes and alcohol legal and pharmaceuticals in the middle and these other drugs, marijuana, other ones illegal? Some people sort of inherently assume, well, this must be because there was a thoughtful consideration of the relative risks of drugs, and but then you think, well, that can't be, because we know alcohol is more associated with violence than almost any illegal drugs, and cigarettes are more addictive than any of the illegal drugs. I mean, heroin addicts routinely say it's harder to quit cigarettes than it is to quit heroin. So it's not as if there was ever any kind of National Academy of Science that 100 years ago decided that these drugs, these ones had to be illegal and those ones legal. And it's not as if this is in the Bible or in the Code of Hammurabi. I mean, nobody was making legal distinctions among many of these drugs back until the 20th century, essentially. So if you ask how and why this distinction got made, what you realize when you look at the history is it has almost nothing to do with the relative risks of these drugs, and almost everything to do with who used and who was perceived to use these drugs. In the South, in the early part of the 20th century, directed at black men working on the docks, and the fear, what would happen to those black men when they took that white powder up their black noses and forgot their proper place in society, going out. First time anybody ever said that, cops needed a 38 would not bring down a Negro crazed on cocaine, you needed a 45. I mean, the New York Times, the paper of record, reporting this stuff as fact back in those days.
And all those 3 strike laws and all that stuff.
They had no idea.
You know what I'm saying? That hurt us more than anything else.
And it did.
You know what I'm saying? That was Bill Clinton.
Well, yeah, that was Clinton, but I think a lot of people forget that.
The crime bill, Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So all these politicians that we run up behind have this history, backhanded history. They're giving us a handshake and stabbing us with the other. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so what uprising or what follows should we do? Should we do the Harriet Tubman, or should we do the Bismarck Beasley? Should we do the Nat Turner? Or should we do the Martin Luther King?
Why can't we make a movement that combines all of that into one? Why can't we take the principles of what Dr. Martin Luther King had for nonviolence, but take the pressure that Malcolm X had with his? Why can't we take the secretism and the build our community up like Harriet Tubman, and add all that into one? My dad always told me you learn from your ancestors' mistakes.
Right.
but yet I still go back to we're sitting around and we're doing nothing. We are 3 people that are using our platform, but on the same time, you have other platforms, other YouTubers that are out there that are using their platforms as entertainment, but don't ever do some silly or don't do serious conversations that need to be had. Right. You know, we were all hoodied out when Trayvon Martin died. Everybody, I remember it so clear. Everybody's profile was all hoods and everything else for Trayvon Martin. But what are we doing now? Are we all going to go out for a jog in honor of Ahmaud?
A white tee.
Right, in a white t-shirt. What are we gonna do? Like, I don't know.
I'm trying to be restrained. Not really say what I want to say.
Why?
Because
I often wonder. I wonder what you wonder. What are you?
Well,
what is it?
In some, like I said, in some ways, I want to kill somebody, flat out. Because I'm just sick and tired.
Enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Now, having said that, does that mean I'm gonna do it?
No, he's not.
But that is the feeling that you get. That's the feeling that you get because you tired. You ready for an eye for an eye. I'm tired of turning on the cheek.
A young nigga got it bad cause I'm brown and not the other color, so police think they have the authority to kill a minority. Fuck that shit cause I ain't the one for a punk motherfucker with a badge and a gun to be beaten on and thrown in jail. We can go toe to toe in the middle of a sale.
Enough
you know what I'm saying?
Enough cheek
you know what I'm saying? My cheeks is gone. You know what I'm saying?
Only time I turn my cheeks down for my babies and this, dog.
And it's like, you know, you get to that point where you hear we should overcome. You hear, you know what I'm saying? You hear the I have a dream speech. And you hear all that. And it's like, yeah, you know.
You gotta like my song?
No.
Okay, fine.
No, nigga. So, you know, you hear these things, and you're like, okay, let's follow that. You know, let's sit down, let's boycott what Rosa Parks, you know, boycotted on the bus. You know, you hear those things, and they made history. But at the same time, what did it change?
Hey, until we stop.
We're still so divided.
I'm just saying. Well, that's my thing. Is because we will always be the minorities because we can't get everybody on the same page. And if you think about it, all the seats that are in the majority, they all look alike. Because no matter what, even if they hate each other, they will still look out for each other against defense of other people that don't look like them.
Right, but we too busy fighting each other over whose hustle is who.
And I think it's silly.
Man, motherfuckers getting killed over stepping on some Nikes, bro.
And I think that we should...
Don't step on my shoes.
I can't front out. You step on my friend's Air Force Ones and they just press out the box on me. I ain't gonna kill you, but we gonna have some words. We're gonna have a heated discussion about this shit.
And that goes back to what I heard Corey said. You know, he was like, and I wholeheartedly agree with him. He said, you know, all these little beefs that we have, all these little arguments we get into, a lot of them we just start with the phone call and conversation. You know, hey man, you know my bad. But you know, we want to get
it's pride.
You know,
thank you. I was gonna say that. You have to take your pride out of it.
Hey, that's like our biggest thing.
But that's what he said though. He said we need to humble ourselves.
It's our biggest. What's it? What word I'm looking for? I need to start drinking this one.
I start slurring there.
Biggest attribute. And our works at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like our pride is great to have, but it could be a downfall for so many different occasions.
Well, why not take pride of being a black man?
There's no
pride of being, you know what I'm saying, coming from great stock.
But I'm just saying though, there's nothing wrong with us having pride, but at some point it's like even when y'all asked me to join the crew, it's like I wasn't gonna try to come in and try to this is my time to shine. No, it's because
are you sure? Because you already off the chain. Just saying, you already off the chain.
But I'm just saying, it's like sometimes you gotta know when to chill and play the. You gotta know when to play the background. It's not like sometimes folks gotta see the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? And cats I think if we can get more people look at the bigger picture of what we can succeed if we really put all the stupid petty shit
That's what it is.
Because that's what it is. It's just shit that can't keep us together. Stupid petty shit, bitches or some fucking nigga or some fucking money.
Pardon for the exclusive language.
I'm just calling it what it is. It's like,
that's why he's the wild card. But it is the truth. It's the truth.
I'm saying niggas beef over bitches.
Yeah.
Females beefing over a nigga. Mm-hmm. You got people beefing over some drugs or some fucking money or some dumb shit.
Yeah, dumb stuff don't even
but I'm saying like even like cousins killing cousins over some
and
dumb
that's
shit.
the truth. That's the truth. Like families aren't even family units anymore because of somebody is.
And don't let Big Mama go, man. Because if Big Mama go, man, it's a wrap. Y'all saw Soul Food, man. Y'all saw the movie, man. One Big Mama go, it's a wrap.
We are also, for our YouTube channel, we are on Facebook Live. So I did want to read some of the comments that we have coming off of there. We are getting ready to go live on our page, but we are on my personal page right now. So we have D Lover. Thank you for tuning in. I think that it is sad that we as Black people out here killing each other over crazy things instead of all coming together as one. And that's kind of like what you just hit on, Lamar. Like we're talking about everything else. We're fussing about everything else about they didn't pay me $20 back, but yet you got a new pair of shoes.
But here's my other point to that too. I think that we need to start thinking more globally.
Right.
Think about this in China.
Well, that's what I said. The bigger picture.
But in China, they hold up signs at McDonald's. It doesn't say Africans. It says Black people cannot come in here.
After McDonald's canceled its sponsorship of NASCAR driver Kyle Larson for using a racial slur while streaming on Twitch, the company also closed one of its restaurants in China for displaying a sign banning Black people. McDonald's tells CNN the sign was removed and it's working to educate managers and employees of company values. Warnings from Chinese officials about the rising number of imported coronavirus cases in the area are creating anti-foreigner sentiment.
Black people cannot come in here.
Yep.
That means my man from Nigeria, my man from the Caribbean,
the white person that got way too
my man
burned.
from Panama, all them people from the dispersion. None of y'all niggas can come in here. You know what I'm saying? So we saying, we African Americans and they're Africans and they're from Jamaica. Everybody outside of us see us the same.
They don't care.
You still a nigga. You know what I'm saying? And so my thing is that we think more globally and come together globally, how much power we can have, how much dollar buying power we have.
But then that also goes
like, let me say
into...
this part.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So like...
He on his preacher roll.
I know. Right. Yeah, let him go. So, take the haters off.
So they call for a boycott. They calling for a boycott on Chinese places, Chinese food, and all those places. But here's the thing: women ain't gonna stop going to beauty supply stores.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
And all that shit come from where?
From China.
Yeah.
Asia. But there's a Dominican one here.
But I'm saying,
how many people gonna go to the Dominican one?
Majority of that shit come from Asia, not Dominican. I'm gonna talk about.
Well, I'm saying. Yeah. But everybody can go to then they ain't gonna stop eating Chinese food.
No.
Well, y'all can really do hibachi and stuff at home.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of different places that we're not going to stop doing.
Until we start cooking it more and more.
We ain't going to stop getting our nails done. Ain't going to stop getting pedicures.
Hey, but some need their nails and their feet done.
Man, look, figure out how to do it. It's Black people know how to do it. My daughter does do nails.
Bruh, I have my homegirl Kim, shout out to Kim. She does nails and does them better than the Asians.
You know, so, but... because our mind says, I gotta go do this, we're not gonna stop boycotting. So they know this. Putin has said something that I thought was very insightful. Putin said, I don't have to paraphrase it, he said he's talking more about the Africans, but still applies to all of us. He said that they see us, he's talking white people, as their gods. He said Africa is nothing but a cemetery. They leave Africa, they put their money in the Swiss banks, they spend their money with the Chinese people, they go to Europe to vacation, they come back home to Africa to die. They do not use what they have as resources, and for that reason, the rest of the world see Black people as weak.
But
this is Putin saying that.
But that's where it goes to, I'm gonna hit on a couple of things that you talked about. First, hitting on women are never going to stop going to all the Asian boutiques. I agree with that. But that is where now this day and age, it don't cost nothing for you to start your own freaking company. Instead of going to the Asians or going to the Chinese beauty supply store where you see 1 or 2 black girls in there working because that's just the job they choose to get because that's the profession that they like. How about open your own beauty salon, opening your own beauty shop, and getting your own bundles and things like that in? My hairdresser, it was talking about looking into trying to get her own bundles and stuff. My homeboy Brian was selling bundles at one time. You know what I'm saying? There's all these other things. Instead, we are so used to being stuck into a certain box and not wanting, or not even box, stuck to a certain tradition. Oh, I always go to Lee May for my nails. She always do it the best. But yet you can go over here and pay $200 to Lee May, and then the black woman across the street may charge you $250, but the quality is 10 times better. You just don't want to spend that extra money. So there again, you have another aspect of you killing your own community by not supporting each other. I've been posting all year, or I think all last year and all this year. I said 2020 will be the year that I support black businesses all year long. And I've done that just as such. Between my business, between family members' businesses, between different t-shirt businesses. Like, they're all black owned. If we can't start there supporting each other, they're never going to respect us enough not to kill one another.
I've been bullied for like the way I looked and the way of my skin at my previous school that I went to, and they just kept on bullying me, and I didn't like it. I just asked them to stop like over and over again, and then I tried not to break, but I couldn't like hold on anymore. So I asked my mom, can I leave?
My grandparents have a lot of, like, they're very racist against African Americans and like other races, but it's 2012, so they have to like push that aside, and they'll be like, no, that's wrong to be, you want to stick with your own race, and I'm like, no, I'm friends with everyone.
If somebody has like a different kind of skin color, if they're their friend, you always should be friends. So like, I have tons of friends that are black and I'm white.
It doesn't matter what skin color you are. It's just inside here, like in your heart.
And then let's look at it, like you said, a bigger picture of just minorities, period. Excuse me. Like, they had the Shine in China black people. So that means they're considering any person that is dark.
Melanated.
Right. So that means all my Latino brothers and sisters. All my
Afro-Latino.
Right. Either way.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
There's some black people.
There really are. There are. But either way.
Bigarachis?
You get on my nerve. I swear you get on my nerve. Either way, we are. I knew you were going to do it. I knew you were. Either way, we are. I'm about to hit you with this power box. Either way, we're beefing with some of them. Why are we beefing with some of them instead of getting together and be like, okay, you've got this skill. You can build this house and whatnot. Right. Well, you build this house, I'm a realtor, I'm gonna sell it to this person. It's all about connections and building a family. A family is outside of your bloodline. Because back in the day, back when slavery and stuff, they didn't know everybody that was in their bloodline. They were family by the tribe. So your tribe, you might have a cousin that's in another tribe over there because they married such and such. Now y'all are family. But yet we're sitting here and we're diverging each other out of jealousy, out of money, power, out of envy, out of everything. So to go back to the initial statement, not even how, but why do we feel that it gives and I'm going to say it this way, the white people so much privilege to treat us this way? Because we're doing it to ourselves. We continue to do it to ourselves. If we don't...
It's a mix. We done it to ourselves and they take advantage of the privilege.
Right. But how do they take advantage? They take advantage because they see us doing it. It's just like, hit on the topic of using the N-word. We use it freely here. That's just how we are. In my view, I'm never going to stop using it. But
I'm trying not to. But to keep
your name is that nigga.
It doesn't mean I'm not trying.
But
what you saying?
That's why I was getting ready to say something. I was like, I'm gonna leave it alone.
I'm trying.
I'm gonna leave it alone.
That nigga tripping, man.
I'm gonna leave it alone.
Kenny is not alone. This violent interaction between black men and women and police officers plays out in cities and towns across the United States, often with much more devastating results. According to the most recent statistics, blacks are 3 times more likely to be shot and killed by police than whites. The question on everyone's mind, and the question that I get asked the most, is how do we solve this problem? The present crisis surrounding race in the United States, I think, suffers from a lack of attention to the root causes. Better attention to the root causes, I am convinced, will help us to figure out how to move past where we are right now in terms of the current racial climate in the United States. So why does the killing of unarmed blacks continue to happen? I think it continues to happen because we have the wrong diagnosis and the wrong cure. First, part of the reason the killing of unarmed blacks continues to happen at an alarming rate is because we haven't properly addressed our long history of racial terror in this country, which has treated blackness as a proxy for criminality, as a substitute for criminality. Instead, when confronted with kind of these jarring racial injustices, what we like to do is to point to the bad racist apples. We like to individualize the problem and situate it away from us. This is why we're able to make sense of, let's say, a Dylan Roof, the shooter in Charleston, South Carolina, who shot up the black church and had a white power manifesto. But the problem of contemporary racial violence is not that we have a few kind of racist bad apples. The problem is that the whole tree, the whole apple tree, is infected.
But my point was, if we see or if we hear a white person use the word, we ready to fight.
When I tell old girl at work,
I'm about to say I knew it was coming up. Go ahead.
What's up?
What's the white girl, the server?
I know. I dropped our live feed.
Dude with the messed up shape.
Why does she have to have a mess? I hope I don't know her, Jesus. I'm sorry.
Huh? Hussein? Nah, that's messed up in there. Oh, I can't tell you that.
Good point, Donna.
God, what's her name? Anyway, Cassie. Yeah, so I was talking to her one day. You know, we used to kick it and stuff, trip. She be like, what's up, brother? You know, we do all this. She say, so I mean, I can use the N-word? I said, no. I said, you can use it. I said, you can use it. I'm gonna laugh while I'm stumping you out.
Why do you have to equate the violence? Why? Why do you have to equate the violence? I knew this conversation was going to be longer than 30 minutes.
You can use it. I'm going to stump you out. I'm going to laugh.
I'm going to laugh while I'm stumping you out.
This conversation was longer than 30 minutes.
But let's kind of shift it to what we're talking about. So what makes a racist?
I mean, it's learned behavior.
You know, and
okay, so what learned behavior?
You know, so it's interesting.
No, to me, like, racist behavior is something that's learned. You only hate or hate things.
Dex on? Yeah, Dex is on.
I'm just saying you only hate things that you have seen being hated by people that you're around all the time. Like, that's learned behavior.
Okay, Facebook Live, y'all comment too.
What you need to comment. You know,
what do you?
Hey,
I would say especially that.
I ain't gonna lie. I think everybody formulate their own stereotypes and they crack jokes on them. Mm-hmm. I don't think it technically makes you a racist.
So the question.
So here's the thing. Okay, go ahead.
Wait.
To me, a person to me that is racist is literally going out of their way to make a moment in my day feel like hell for their own enjoyment and pleasure.
That belt is $150.
Thanks. If you were shopping here and you heard this,
you're in the wrong store. We don't sell urban wear here. This is Wall Street. It isn't Harlem.
What would you do?
No, that's a $600 jacket, right?
Okay.
All right, just want to let you know.
Right off the bat, our salesman makes things uncomfortable.
Sir, we do have a lot of cameras throughout the store. I just want to make sure you're aware of that. I just want to make sure that it's not bothering anyone up here. You guys are okay?
Why would he be bothering
I
us?
just wanted to make sure. I don't, you know, I want to make sure customers are.
Well, no.
I would rather be spending my time and attention with, you know, ladies like you that are obviously able to afford, you know, clothing in this store.
Not able to. But I don't even have a job. She
But it's
doesn't. She's
obvious,
in med
man.
school,
Come on,
and I'm a stay-at-home
guys.
mom.
You have a Louis Vuitton bag. You guys have.
I mean, honestly, he probably
Clearly-
has more money than we do. If he's looking at $600 jackets.
I highly doubt that.
Crystal Harrison is incredulous. And then our salesman makes it crystal clear.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, if somebody steals something, they're black, okay? I mean, that's pretty much how it goes. It's not racist, it's the facts, okay? It's not about racism. You guys watch the news, I mean.
He's not bothering us.
Okay.
You're more bothering us than he is.
It struck me that you were laughing throughout it all.
Well, because I was so uncomfortable, so I had no idea what to do.
It was nervous laughter.
Yeah, I'm still really nervous.
I got a credit card. I can pay for this.
You have a credit card?
I do have a credit card. Want to see it? Here it go.
We don't take stolen credit cards, sir.
Come on, man.
I'm
What makes you
sorry.
think my credit card is stolen?
Not a word. Even when our salesperson gets security involved.
Gonna have to pat you down.
I don't believe this, man. This is messed up.
Sir, we need you to take your jacket off, okay?
Is this legal?
Yes, it's legal.
I didn't
We have
do
to
anything.
protect
I'm
our
just looking at the
merchandise.
clothes.
We have to protect the merchandise in the store.
Gabriel is clearly not getting any help from our salesman, so he approaches this next woman for some advice.
Excuse me. Can I get your opinion? Does this look good?
Is he bothering you? I'm sorry.
Does it work with the hoodie?
No.
But again, our salesman is right there, thinking and saying the worst of Gabriel.
Sir, can I just take a look inside that jacket?
Why?
I feel as though you may have put something in that jacket. Can you just pat him down and make sure that he doesn't have anything?
So far, no one seems to object to this embarrassing public pat-down. That is, until her husband, Raul Sequeira, takes a step forward.
I don't want to intrude or anything, but, you know, I live in Europe, so obviously...
Okay.
I mean, this would never happen in Europe. You can't profile on the basis of the looks of someone.
Wow.
No, I wasn't profiling. No, but the thing is, can anyone make any conclusions on the basis of color or, you know, looks and stuff like that?
I mean, 9 times out of 10, someone steals something, they look like him.
Raul is speechless.
Are you saying I was wrong?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
But his wife, she's just getting started.
Because basically
So I was making you uncomfortable.
He looks like he's someone that would steal from...
He does not? Because he's black? I'm crazy?
About
It's
the-
in Europe. I could steal.
Before she gives us any proof, it's time to introduce ourselves. You noticed right away, and you whispered to your husband.
I said I just want to leave.
Right away.
Yes.
Yeah. She wasn't very far from slapping you.
Okay. So, I'm gonna do 2 parts. So 2 things. For everybody that just tuned in and is commenting, the question is, what traits or what do you think makes a person racist? So Facebook Live, y'all go ahead and comment. We're gonna read some of those comments here in just a second. Second thing is, you said if you feel like it's a person that goes out of their way to make your day pretty much just trash. So that brings up the question of, do you feel that some people are all the way 100% just racist? But do you feel that some of the learned behavior is mixed with the right behavior, but they still go out their way to make you that way or make your day bad? Or do you think it's just the unknown of them knowing, the unknown of them not realizing that they're doing it because it's a subconscious.
All right, so I think you can
If that
actually
makes
throw
sense.
layers on it, because
Right.
my thing is like, if you hang with a whole bunch of people that is racist and they being racist and you're not being racist, to me, I think you're just as guilty by being
Correct.
a witness
Guilty
of it
by association.
and you're not doing anything to stop it. I think you're just as guilty, in my opinion. 'Cause
Okay.
my thing is, if you are witnessing racial behavior and you're not doing nothing to stop it, that means you're just as guilty as a person that's doing the racist behavior. but I don't necessarily think that actually makes them racist. I just think that makes them a coward. that's just me.
I think makes them ignorant.
So I thought about this when I was reading Charles. This guy named Charles Dew.
Yeah.
He wrote a book. It was called "The Making of a Racist."
Ooh.
And basically, the whole.
Do you have this book here? I do not. You're fired.
But here's the whole premise behind the book. So basically, tell the story of how he grew up, down south. And he said he grew up in a segregated society. Blacks was on one side, whites on the other side. Mm-hmm. But he had 2 black servants at his house. One name was Illinois, and the other guy was Ed, Ed cut the grass, Illinois did everything else. So the interesting is that they had certain plates and utensils that they ate out of. They put them in a cabinet. They were not allowed to eat on them, and only the 2 black people could eat on those plates. They had a bathroom that's out on the back porch that was horrible conditions. That's what the black people ate out of. Used the bathroom out of. Then he talked about his very first book he could remember his mama reading was called Ezekiel. It had the southern dialect in it. The boys in the book, sister name was Emancipation. You know what I'm saying? All things. And his mother said she enjoyed reading the book to him. And then what I thought that was kind of when you start getting to the nuances of the relationships that he had. You start talking about his mom. His mom was a super religious person who was real nice. That's how he described her. She was real nice, loving, caring. But she did not want to live around black people. She thought segregation was the right thing. And she didn't see anything wrong reading this book. Now, he's getting this from his mom. His dad wore his racism on his sleeve. He outright said nigger and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And then all he grew up was around segregation and racial tension, conflict. He grew up in a town doing Brown versus the Board of Education.
Yeah.
He grew up doing that part. He grew up in Jim Crow. So I'm saying he grew up around this town. Now, he said when he went to school in the North, he would tell jokes that had the little southern drawl where they talk about black folks and mammy and pappy and that kind of thing. He didn't see nothing wrong with it. Until he started getting around more and more black people, he saw something that was wrong with the way his behavior was.
Because it wasn't funny.
Now the question is, was he a racist? Or did he start off as a racist and change, but he's always a racist?
That's like what Dak said, bigot versus racism.
Mm-hmm.
That is the question. What is it? What is the difference? Let's see what some of our people are saying here. So Mr. Dax Jones said bigot versus racism. Dax, I'm gonna need you to explain your commentary a little bit more because we know you have way more to say than that. Dax, for those on our YouTube channel, is
a Malcolm X.
He is he is a Malcolm X. He is a co-worker of ours.
Mm-hmm.
So these conversations, if you are new if y'all are new to our channel and y'all don't know much about the Often Wonder family, these conversations started originally to Back History with me and Jamel
at work
during lunch. So we made it a business. So that's where Dax comes in, and then we got Lamar Wildcard over here to join in from Jamel's work.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else we got. D-Lover, which is AKA Donna, my cousin. Hey girl. She says, so I'm gonna say this: there are racist people. But then there are the ones who turn back around and try to be white or black. But on top of that, if you got to look at how they were raised and taught, you have to look at how they were raised and taught by their families. That's very true. Because that goes back into what we're saying. Then she continues, says racism is a big thing, and it's sad that the way that they were raised. They're sad the way they were raised to hate white people and to hate black people, but people then turn around and go down the line. It's the parents' fault, so they grew up like this.
Mm-hmm.
So do y'all feel like everything is the parents' fault? Do you feel like that
So are we? That goes to the philosophical question: are we a product of our environment?
Yes.
Or you are, but here's my thing. At some point, when you become a young adult, because like for me, once I hit college years, I went under the roof of my parents' house, so I pretty much took everything I was taught, carried it with me. And then at this point, I'm on my own. Let me decipher for life on my own.
Right.
Let me take some bits and pieces of what I was learning, and then let me formulate my own goddamn idea of how I should live my life.
Right.
But that goes back to what we were saying, or what I was saying. What I was saying is, you were ready. Dax said he's driving. That's why he can't comment. He can't comment like he wants to. I understand that. We'll have a part 2 and bring you on. It goes back to what I was saying, to where, and it ties into what you were saying. If you are around that and you saw that, but yet you know right from wrong, you know that you should not be sitting here bullying, because in my opinion, racism is a form of bullying.
It is.
Bullying this little black boy into doing what you want him to do or making him feel like crap, but then you don't treat anybody else like that. You're doing it around other people. So the taught behavior is given, but when do you give that person, in this instance, the white person, the responsibility and the accountability of realizing, okay, yeah, you were taught these things, but now you are grown behind an adult who know right from wrong. So why didn't you unteach yourself these things?
Well, here's
choices at that time.
Here's my issue.
That's a choice at that time.
Here's my issue. You take a white person who's racist, and they, believe in niggas ain't nothing, they ain't worth nothing, blah blah blah. You take a black person who say the same thing about white people. Now, they will automatically say to the black person, they won't give you the benefit of the doubt that you at least have that understanding of why you're like that because of what you've been through. Then they turn around the same thing with Jews and say they understand why they can't stand Germans, but they won't give us that same benefit of the doubt. And that's always been my problem.
It's because we're in the country, bro.
So y'all know I was
Jews
like,
are in this country.
You hit on something. So I want to take it a little bit deeper, because y'all know I always take it to the next level, because we said there are levels to this thing. So do we feel that there is also, when it comes to racism, that there are sub-levels to racism outside of just black and white, but is there also forms of racism between different religions? Is there a form of racism between different economical statuses?
Of course. But I'm just saying, like, as in how I feel, because I'm a black man, it's been happening to us for forever in America. We will always be number one on the fuck you list in America. I don't give a fuck what nobody said. Whether it's Jews, Arabs, Muslims. I really hate on my Arabs. Sorry, my bad.
So again,
my brothers.
Emo bacon. But I'm just saying, we will always be on the number one shit list. I just feel that way.
I can't argue that, because I feel the same way.
That's right.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
feel me?
I just think that we're not given the benefit of the doubt a lot of things that the other cultures are. Now, when we talking about economic and religion, I think those are just different vehicles for the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I'm gonna take economics and further oppress you, because I have the power over that.
And then put a color.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take my religious belief and further oppress you.
And then put a color on it.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Just like they did with Christianity to the slaves.
Right.
I'm gonna take that and teach you this part of Christianity and teach you to obey me. You know what I'm saying? Because I can further oppress you.
And then put a color on it.
Right. Thank you for
so stupid.
punctuation.
He's stupid.
So I think that
all I heard was black.
I just think they're different vehicles for the same thing. Different vehicles for the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So I just believe that, and I can only speak because I'm a black man. I only speak from a black experience.
Of course.
But
don't go too deep into that, because we have an episode coming up on
of
black men. So don't go too deep into that.
But I'm gonna say this.
Woo. That's gonna be a long episode. Jesus.
But you might as well just put the mic down and just walk away.
I don't plan on.
Me and Mel could go probably like 30 years on this.
I don't plan on saying much on that episode. I'm gonna do what I'm do what I'm paid to do, and that is to be Black Barbara Walters and officiate.
Money for the I just believe that, that we, like I said earlier about the different layers and nuances. Mm-hmm. I think that yes, these things are against us. Mm-hmm. However, we still need to find a way to come together and build our own infrastructure, but our own economical power. Mm-hmm. Learn what the African religion that we came from is. Learn all the different things that originally was taken from us.
Right.
And learn how to come together as one. Because the sad thing is, because we've been so fragmented and split apart, we mess around, we be marrying our cousins.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why
he got a white girl.
That's another conversation for another day. Interracial dating.
She ain't my cousin.
She might be your master, but not your cousin.
But in reality, no. If you really think about it, in reality, she could be your cousin because how many masters slept with a black slave in order to have them to have kids, and now they have, but they also had children by their white wife.
That's it.
Hey man. It's hard out here for people. That's all I know.
But yeah, I think that's one thing we need to look at, is that we as Black people need just to start coming together globally. That's always been my thing now. Globally, we need to come together.
We do. I need to read this comment because this one ties into a lot of what we're talking about right now. Alicia again. Hi, Alicia. Alicia's one of my, yes, you did her wedding. That's Jamel. Don't judge me. She says learning cultural diversity should be mandatory. It'll kill stereotypes, which is the start of defeating racism. What, stereotype? Yeah, it is. I forgot. Sorry. We've got like a laundry list of shows.
They all kind of connected.
Mm-hmm. But they do, and that's why we picked them the way we did. But Alicia, thank you, because that is what I was trying to get to. So
yeah, it helped.
It helps. But how are we teaching folks? Because on our episode that we did that airs this Friday, the battle, we did our version of the battle, the Instagram battles that have been going on, and we decided to do it on movies. We hit on the topic. Jazz talked about what did she say? She talked about not wanting to see movies like Roots. Mm-hmm. Which Roots talks about the realness. It shows the realness of our culture. It shows the realness of that time and what was going on. But in her opinion, as someone who's younger than all of us, she was like, I don't want to have to see that. Like, I don't really, every year.
Relive it.
But
rehash it.
But every year
replay.
Right. Every year we celebrate, different things. Y'all know I'm a churchy girl. So every year we celebrate, Easter. We celebrate, Christmas. We celebrate all these things that have the signification of Jesus Christ and, his birth and his death and his resurrection. So why is it that we don't educate and celebrate those things the same way when it comes, to slavery? That is something that's important. If we're not teaching our children these things, and now we're having to sit down and have more of those hard conversations, especially with little Black boys, more so than little Black girls, I fear, like I have nephews. I have lots of nephews. Mm-hmm. Hold on 2 seconds. I have lots of nephews. I have lots of nieces. My concern is that for my nephews is that they're going to be the ones that are walking down the street, minding their own business or practicing, good health qualities like this man was doing, going out to be physically fit, and they now are dead because we're teaching some of our kids, not every parent. Let me make that very clear. Disclaimer. Not every parent teaches this, but there are a lot, and I'm gonna say in this form, say however you want. I don't care.
She don't care.
I really don't. But we're teaching our children how to be the quote unquote ratchet and respond, and then we defend it knowing that it's wrong. So if you stop, like kids these days don't have the same respect that we were taught. They just don't. Let's be real. But if you stop a little boy in a store and be like, hey, I saw you put that in your pocket, the response that you might get from that little black boy is a F you, this, that, and the third.
Why you snitching?
Right. Instead of the respect factor is yes, ma'am. How many kids do you know actually say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am? Yeah, those words derive from slavery, but it was a respect thing. It was a respect factor of you're older than me, you're trying to teach me right from wrong, but yet I'm not necessarily, listening to it. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
So all these, we talk about racism is a learned behavior. There are things that are taught to people, whether white or black. Let me say this disclaimer: we are not condoning racism. We are not speaking on the factor of racism should be here. We're giving our views on how we feel and how it affected us and the things that we see and the people that we are around when it comes to racism. Mm-hmm. Like we said, our platform is used so we can get the knowledge out, the information out, and the realness out of it, because we are 3 black Americans who have to deal.
Hey, is it fair enough to say we've all personally dealt with some real fucked up racist shit?
Yes.
Okay, so we've all dealt with it. My thing is, I still don't hate people. Even those who have done that to me, like, I don't hate their whole race because of that one individual. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is like, why us, man? What do you do to y'all, man? Look at all the contributions we done for y'all, man. Come on, man. Why y'all say this?
But they won't.
Don't make no sense.
When you go to the contributions, some of them don't even realize
they
the
contributions.
But some of them don't even realize the contributions
came from us.
There's a black man who taught my man how to do Jack Daniels. Bro, there's a black man.
Jack Daniels, they like to drink it.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Hell, the stoplights, y'all like to run. Hell, how about the lights y'all like to use?
This is the realest conversation that y'all get. I'm trying to tell y'all.
The Lion King song was a black man.
I'm just saying.
You know what I'm saying? It's so many things.
Bro, we gotta.
But how much credit do we get for it?
On a
we don't get a lot of credit.
But how much? That's my thing, though. How much credit do we get for it?
My point to what he was saying though is that a lot of the white people don't know that black people contribute to a lot of these things, and
they use their products every day.
They use a lot of stuff.
They life get by using that shit every day.
And so they don't realize that we contribute a lot. All the thing they think we contribute to is pig and cotton. You know what I'm saying?
And fucking white bitches crazy. Which I managed to do. My husband got better. I don't know how that shit happened, man.
But you know what I'm saying? That's the only thing they really think that we contribute to the economy. And so to the world as well. And so they only see that all the stuff that we contribute to, so they look at us as lower forms of life. Man. And then you think about you compile that with some of the learned behavior, like I was saying, this guy that wrote this book.
Man, I'm telling you,
he was talking.
Man, these motherfuckers being for rude awakening if the shoes on the other foot, bro.
But see, that right there is what's driving some of the hatred, because they understand and realize, even when you talk about back in slavery times, one of the reasons why they decided to put their foot on our neck as much as they did, because after the uprising in Haiti, they said, these niggas over here gonna do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Willie Lynch came in.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I read that book.
Right. So
How to Create a Slave was some real crazy shit.
So my thing is like, and I think, and nowadays it's the same thing. They started to realize that since now we can become more global, you know, that they started to the world started to shrink in on them. And like, hey, we gotta figure out a way to keep these people oppressed, because if not, they're gonna take over.
Let's systematically tear them down.
You gotta do something, man.
So we're gonna wrap it on, bring it on.
Yeah, we gonna have to wrap this up, because we go on and on. We We
try to get our conversations to be 30 minutes, 45 max. We don't think we ever accomplish it because we've been talking for hours. So, we're gonna wrap it up with, I guess, let's do last. We haven't done last thoughts.
Final
thoughts, closing thoughts, as you know, as the preacher would say in closing remarks.
Benediction. May the Lord watch.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Jesus. Lamar, what are your final thoughts on this topic?
Ain't enough people drinking enough Modelo and red wine and smoking enough weed, man. We could not. If we did that, everybody be alright. We stopped being all angry and shit. No. Now on some real shit, man. It's racism is a fucked up situation, man. Because it's like we just trying to live our lives, like on some real shit. We just trying to, get our piece of the pie like everybody else. And we just getting killed in the street over for what? I don't see the gainers of that shit killing us. We just trying to live, man. Hard out here for pimp, man. Hard out here, man.
Jamel, if I don't throw our live feed.
Racism is in the fabric and the DNA of this country.
You better use the intellect words I came into college.
I mean, if you dig into the ground, this country is the blood of black men and women.
Yeah.
And, is this woven all through the country, everywhere you go, there's a black footprint.
Right.
And I think that our black youth need to understand that.
Right.
The great contribution that we gave to this country. And they understand the blood that we shed.
Well, I don't think they know their word.
You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm getting to that. Can I finish my thoughts? I'll play.
Jesus. Here we go. You said your final remarks. Let him talk.
Sir, you had your time.
My bad.
But I don't think
I spend more time slurring than
I think though they need to understand, what's going on and all things we contribute to this country. And I think by doing that, they can have a better self-worth.
Right.
And understand that they're better than what they perceive themselves to be. And understand that, they are the future. So what you gonna do with that future? And I think when you see stories like Arbery, Ahmaud Arbery in Brunswick, Georgia, and you see these things, people who are of age and who have grandparents and great-grandparents who knew their great-grandparents and heard the story of slavery, heard the story of lynchings, that kind of thing angers you even more because now you're reaching back to that history. And for the young people, I got my hand over here in that history. I'm trying to grab my hand over here to the young people and say, now look, let's link these things together and move forward and be better. Now, this is not a thing about bashing white people. But at the same time, like I said before, because of the history, there's that pause in my mind when I deal with it. Because I go along my day or go along my life and I think, oh man, it's getting better. And then you see this. And it only just angers me, it hurts me in my heart because I have a son. I have two sons that's there that could have been him or them. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Walking along the street.
Yeah, that could be you, my dude.
Well, that too. But I'm just talking about, it made me think of my sons when I saw that. And that so it hurts me in my heart even more. Then it makes me think of my ancestors. So yeah, it's a little deeper than just a news report.
Oh, it is.
You know what I'm saying? It's a little deeper than just, seeing this incident because it's like, when are we going to change? When is this going to stop? When is this going to end? Now going to moving forward, we need to, like we said before, as black people, come together. Squash all that other stuff that y'all, I don't care if you're Muslim and black, so what? If you're Christian and black, so what? Let's come together and move forward. all these other little things that we have. I mean, I can't deal with him because, he's married to a white girl. Or I can't deal with him because they don't want to leave America and go back to Africa. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Those are, to me, are idiotic things to have a disagreement on.
They're ignorant things.
We need to come together and come as one force. Because if we stop spending our money, it will shake this country down. And that's the power that we have that we need to start using.
They hit on a topic that I want to go so deep into that I'm not going to touch.
Another show, Negro.
It's another show. But I will say this before I get my closing remarks to say something on that last part that you just said. With us being quarantined with this coronavirus still going around, there are so many of us that are collecting unemployment because we've been laid off. What, other than Jamel, because he's technically still working. But people like Lamar and I, what are you doing with those funds?
Oh, I'm paying my credit card.
Right. What are you doing with those funds? What are you doing that's going to...
You can invest in our Patreon page.
Right, that too. Invest. We like investments. What are you doing? Or are you wait? I hate you. Or are you waiting for all these stores to go open back up so you can go and buy, the latest Jordans and everything else, but yet your credit score is still 360?
Ooh, damn, 360. Damn. They can't even buy an Xbox 360 with a 360.
Your credit went full circle.
Damn.
Anyway.
Swirling in a circle, going in straight in the toilet.
In my closing remarks, now that I've said that'll be another show. In my closing remarks, I feel like we say it all the time. We've heard it as cliche, but I'm going to say it. Knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. And until we can teach ourselves first the knowledge, don't just go off of what someone is teaching you. Mm-hmm. Pick up a book, pick up an article, check the credibility behind the article first. But we surf the internet all day long. We surf, Facebook. We surf all these other stuff.
Facebook is not your source.
Yeah, it's not a source. It's a platform. It's not a source. But we do all that. But how much of the knowledge do we really have? I remember Black History Month, our bishop gave different people assignments on different Black history events, one of them being Willie Lynch. And to my shocker, because I grew up in a household to where my dad was big on African American history, the African American church, as well as I have an aunt who teaches African American studies. So, that stuff was already, taught to me, but it was to my surprise how many people didn't know the story of Willie Lynch.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm not talking about young folks. I'm talking about older folks. So first we have to teach ourselves
Shit, I didn't hear about Willie Lynch when I was 22, 23.
I was 17 when I started learning myself. I heard the name, but I was 17 when I heard it. But one, teach ourselves. Secondly, don't go around here hollering Black Lives Matter with your fist up unless you understand the real reason, for that movement and for that quote unquote hashtag. Mm-hmm. Because we can say it and we can proclaim it, we can post it everywhere, but until we actually understand the meaning and stand behind it, we have no business of putting it on there. And thirdly, my last thing is, because y'all know, like I always say, I'm the churchy one. I'm the sane one of the group, as y'all can see. But this is a time to where I challenge all of our believers, and more so, I challenge all of our non-believers. This is a time where you cover your kids in prayer, especially as a Black culture, because we see that it's not changing. I challenge, and I actually, when we do this video, I want to tag all these people I'm about to say. I want to, hashtag them on everything. I challenge people like Oprah Winfrey, people like Tyler Perry, people like Dave Chappelle does it already. I don't need to challenge him. People like Beyonce, people like, but that's why I'm challenging them, because you see your response. That's why I'm doing it. People like the host of The Real. You've got that's one of the twins. Yeah, it's a female talk show. But you got
already probably not number 2 by the time that shit come on.
But I challenge, and The Real does a pretty good job on it. But I challenge all Black culture or platforms to really use your platform for what it's meant for. Use your voice.
We should start by getting rid of BET.
No, I disagree. Change the platform and how they use it.
Change the format. Change the content.
Keep it, because that is something that is
not Black only anymore.
It's not. But there are plenty of people that are in there that are Black people that can come together and buy it back if they want to. If you want to be honest.
BT went down there with Bob Johnson Soda, so I'm sorry to fuck up on your last take.
It's okay, because my last takes always open a can of worms. But we definitely will have to do a part 2 for our Facebook Live family. Thank you guys for tuning in. Our YouTubers, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure that you are liking, sharing, and subscribing to the page. We have a video that comes out this Friday on the IG battle, so y'all will probably see this after it's already aired. So go back and watch it if you haven't watched it.
Your local Negro boys.
Yeah, like we always said, we always support one. We slapped because you definitely slapped because you haven't said it in the last couple of videos.
Oh yeah,
Master P and the Rap Stacks.
Oh yeah, support Master P.
Again, Black owned. As well as
still fuck with you, P.
As well as make sure that you check us out on Anchor.fm. That is our platform where we distribute all of our contents as far as onto Spotify, onto Apple, onto Google Podcasts. So make sure that you guys are subscribing for updates. Follow us on Facebook at I Often Wonder. Lamar is doing his dance with me. So it's definitely time for me to wrap it up. So I'm your girl, Black Barbara Walters. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Listen if you're missing, y'all. Swinging while I'm singing. Giving what you're getting. Knowing what I knowin'. While the black band's sweating. In the rhythm I'm rolling. Gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power. Fight the power. Fight the power. Power. We got with accidental rhymes designed to fill your mind now that you realize the prize arrives. We got to pump the stuff to make it drop.